My husband cheated on me and my stepdaughter helped him cover it. I divorced, took her college fund, and left. They want me to reconcile. Hi, Reddit. I'm in a terrible predicament with my stepdaughter and need your aid. My soon-to-be ex-husband, David, 44M, and I had been together for 15 years. We've been married 10 of those 15 years, and I adore him more than anyone else. His daughter, Stacy, 17F, is from a prior relationship. He and Stacy's mother had a brief affair for a few months, but she got pregnant and opted to keep the kid. They broke up a few weeks before she knew she was pregnant. After that, they resolved to have a friendly relationship so they could co-parent the baby without feelings. However, a vehicle accident killed her when Stacy was 6 months old. He and his daughter were alone after that. In the beginning of our relationship, he told me he was searching for a wife and a nice mother for Stacy. I was up for it because I loved kids and she was young. I didn't care that Stacy had a daughter at 2 years old. I was willing to raise her as my own. I was serious about our relationship from the start, and we married after 5 years of dating. Despite our ups and downs, I always assumed he loved me as much as I loved him. Even until a few months ago, we had been talking about celebrating our 10th wedding anniversary with a family trip to an exotic area, and he was pleased about it. I had no reason to suspect he was cheating. I wasn't expecting this because cheating husbands don't enjoy family vacations. I discovered 6 days ago that he had been cheating on me with his coworker for 7 months. A coworker emailed me while I was working. All their affair facts were there. She supplied documentation of text messages, phone calls, and photos of them together on days he told me he would be abroad for business. I had no idea those vacations were romantic retreats with his affair partner. After receiving that email, I went home in disbelief, unsure what to do. Stacy spent the day with her friend and David worked, so nobody was home. I reread those emails carefully to avoid a work breakdown and saw that she had attached her phone number. If I wanted to talk to her. She told me she was telling me about the affair because she knew David would never do it, and I deserved to know. For months, he had promised her he would tell me everything because she was uncomfortable having an affair with a married man. She must have had a sudden moral awakening, but David had been assuring her the truth, and I had screenshots. He told her he was ending his marriage with me and being with her all the time. She believed him at first, but after about 3 months, he hadn't told me, so she decided to tell me. After reading the full email, I thought about it and contacted her since the worst had happened. I was still in denial, so I thought talking to her would help me realize this wasn't a joke. When I spoke to her, she apologized and stated she didn't want to damage my marriage. However, she had just fallen for David. That's why she told me the truth. She then explained how the affair began, how long it had lasted, and all the promises he had made to her, which were the same as those he made to me in the beginning of our relationship. Every word she said broke my heart more. After that talk, I was sure there was nothing more painful. But she told me that Stacy had known about this all along and was helping him conceal his tracks. I was devastated since I had always considered Stacy my daughter, not her stepdaughter. Knowing that girl had deceived me felt like the end of the world because I had reared her since she was 2. His coworker said Stacy would make excuses for his absence, and not answering his calls whenever he needed to lie to me or cover up. He would give her expensive things for silence. And that explained a lot of recent events, including David treating her like never before. I thought he was buying her nice stuff because he was doing well at work. He had also given me a lot of jewelry and clothes, so I figured his new practice of giving us presents so often was due to his employment. But I was wrong. Anyway, knowing that Stacy had also been involved, had met her father's affair partner multiple times, and had kept it a secret from me devastated me even more than knowing David had cheated on me. After that phone call, I packed up and left that house since I didn't want to stay there and wait for the 2 of them to return home, because I felt betrayed and couldn't stop sobbing. I didn't want David to see me like that, so I packed up a few things and drove to a motel out of town and switched off my phone to avoid being contacted. I drank myself to sleep in the motel that day because I was upset. When I turned my phone back on the next morning to call in sick to work, I saw that I had around 1,000 unanswered texts and missed calls from David and Stacy, but I didn't feel like responding. But I also noted that I had 1 unread text from this auto dealership man I had been talking to about buying a new car. My rationale for holding back was to save more money before buying it since it was pricey. I was also saving for Stacy's 17th birthday and that anniversary trip. I considered giving her a new car instead of getting one for myself. However, seeing that SMS reminded me of my plan to give Stacy a car for her birthday, which made me furious. In a fit of wrath, I determined to focus on making myself happy without caring about others. After the auto dealership guy texted me to inquire if I was still going to buy the car I had chosen, I went down there on an impulse and bought myself a gleaming new luxury car. Since marrying David, I had been saving for my stepdaughter's college fund for 10 years, so I didn't need to worry about buying that car, which was too expensive. I had been delighted to give Stacy access to that account when she announced which college she would attend, but now that I understood what had been going on for the past couple of months, I had no interest in shocking anyone other than myself. I bought a nice car with money from that account and drove it to her house. Ultimately confront my hubby and stepdaughter. They tried to hug me and tell me how worried they were all night when I arrived, but I didn't even give them a second and announced that David's coworker had reached out to me, so now I knew the truth and was disappointed in both of them. Both looked astonished, but David knew the jig was up and didn't say anything. Stacy tried to talk to me and said she was trying to help her father but didn't know what to do. Her tears began, claiming that she was simply confused since she loved us both equally and wanted us to be happy. But I didn't accept that because I thought she was old enough to know what was right and did the wrong thing on purpose. Her father's gifts probably helped her keep silent about this whole issue. I told her I didn't believe anything she said. My anger led me to proclaim my departure from David. I think he should have seen it coming since nobody in my situation would have tried it. Even after learning this, I don't trust Stacy, and I told her I was upset in her decision more than David. Even though we were not related by blood, I had never thought of her as my stepdaughter and loved her just like my blood, possibly even more. Husbands cheat all the time, and it's not the first or last time. I concluded that she was no longer worthy of the college pleasure I had set aside for her all these years because her lies and treachery hurt me more than her father had. I would leave them both. It was hard to say, and I almost choked because this was my family for 15 years. After telling her this, I left without waiting for them to explain and went back to the hotel. They kept calling, but I didn't stop. They followed me out and I'm sure they spotted my new car and sped away as fast as I could. After that, I wanted to block them, but I couldn't because I'm still processing my emotions. For the past 5 days, they've been trying to call me and text me virtually every hour, but I don't know what to say, so I just read their messages and let it go. David tried to get me to forgive him for the first couple of days. But when he realized it was pointless, he started trying to tell me that he was sorry for what he had done and knew I deserved better. But he wanted me to reconsider what he was doing to Stacy, because she was just a child and did not deserve to suffer. Even Stacy had been contacting me to tell me she was wrong. And she knew. But she asked me to give her another chance, and that she had always considered me her mother and was sorry about everything. I ignored all of it until yesterday, when David texted me that he was tired of apologizing without a response and wanted to know whether I was coming back to the family. I was furious because he had messed up and had no right to use that tone with me. I texted him back quickly and stated I had already gone to a lawyer and filed for divorce, but I was still processing everything and hadn't. He didn't need to know. I waited an hour for a response, and when he did, he wrote a long message about how I was selfish and the villain for acting this way. He stated he was fine with me divorcing him, but leaving Stacy demonstrated how selfish I was. He said Stacy had been upset since I left, and that the fact that I had even mentioned I was going to obtain the college fund I had set aside for her had really hit her hard because he knew about it. He hadn't saved enough because of that. I told him about the college money multiple times. He knew I was saving it to surprise Stacy, but I didn't know he had no money other than her college tuition. He stated, I told her I wouldn't give her the money. They understood they were in trouble because he had no savings and she was considering going to college out of state, which would have been much more expensive. She knows she'll get in, but now there's a large question mark. Whether financial restrictions will prevent her from attending her desired college. He blames me for putting this in her face and refusing to allow her use her college fund, even though I had been saving it for her. He doesn't see why I'm using this one mistake against her to be selfish when he saw my new automobile. He advises me to reconsider. I'm torn on what to do as he puts it. Since I've never taken items from kids to teach or punish them, I don't feel comfortable doing so. Avoid becoming that parent. However, Stacy is not a child and may have known what she was doing was wrong. She disappointed me, thus my actions aren't bad. I'm confused. AITA for telling my stepdaughter I won't support her college tuition after I discovered she was helping my husband cover up his affair for expensive gifts. Update 1, I apologize for not updating you for 2 weeks. It's simply that work and my lawyer kept me occupied, but now I have time. First and foremost, I want to thank everyone who commented on my initial article and gave me love and support. My story touched people, which makes me glad. Thanks from the bottom of my heart. Having strangers support me made it easier to handle things. After David wrote me that text and I posted that post, I decided to ignore it. Most of the responses on my post advised I needed to block him and file for divorce immediately to get him out of my life. Within days, I had consulted a lawyer and filed for divorce. I didn't, because even if I were her biological father, I wouldn't owe her money to go to her dream college. She should have considered them before helping her father cheat on me. If you stab me in the back, I won't smile back, no matter your age or identity. This doesn't work. David's claim that she would be penalized for his actions was false. I made it obvious to them in person that last time I went home that she was being punished for what she did. I declined to give her the college fund since she refused to inform me about her father's affair, therefore I think I'm fair. They can be upset about it. They can do so. But I won't. I blocked them since I don't need to. They can no longer reach me. They keep phoning me from other numbers, texting me from other numbers, emailing me from phony accounts, etc. But it doesn't matter because I merely read and ignore these SMS and emails. Update 2: I eventually heard about the divorce. Thankfully, David is not contesting. I hope our divorce will be smooth and harmonious. Life has altered when I discovered he was cheating over 3 weeks ago. I lived in the hotel until last week, but it got too pricey. I had the money and means to stay there for a few more weeks and months, but I didn't want to waste it. I moved in with a buddy who has graciously let me remain till I locate an apartment. My friend is a registered professional and assured me that therapy will assist me in the long term, so I'm considering it. Quitting my job may be the biggest upheaval. Since I've worked nonstop for 20 years, it's significant. I guess I started working after college and part-time before that. But I need a break. I have enough money to accomplish whatever I want, and saving for 10 years will come in handy now that I'm considering taking a break for a few months, aligning my life, and beginning my own business. That was always intended. I delayed it so I could start something when Stacy departed for college and didn't have to worry about money. The aim is to do anything I want now that nobody is holding me back. I'll spend the next few months building a business strategy and finding investors. Despite my anger, I'm excited for the future. I told my parents about the divorce. I hadn't told them yet since I was still processing it, but after talking to my parents, I announced it on social media. I simply declared that I was divorcing without explanation. My close friends and family and what's going on are all I care about, so what others think doesn't matter. Life has been complicated for weeks, but now that the divorce proceedings are starting and we're meeting with the mediator in a few days, I'm hoping to finally move on. Update 3: David and I will meet with the mediator tomorrow. It's odd, knowing I'll have to face him after over a month without talking. Otherwise, not too anxious for that meeting. Just 30 minutes ago, Stacy emailed me. After 2.5 weeks without contact, I figured she was done talking to me and anticipated this email would be about her and how she wanted to pay for college. She surprised me with a full apology. Since she didn't mention the finances, this seemed real. She stated she was sorry for what she had done, selfish, and hadn't considered how I would feel when I found out the truth. She realized she had broken my heart much more than David's and didn't know if she could ever put things right. But she meant it when she stated she had always looked up to me as a mother and loved me. She also said she knew David's presents were from a manipulator, and that his affair partner had made it seem like she was doing it on her own. She maintained that she was manipulated into keeping quiet rather than desiring to conceal secrets from me. Maybe she was manipulated and didn't tell me. She said she was perplexed and didn't know what to do because she knew her father was wrong and constantly buying her presents to buy her silence. But it was her father and she didn't want to fight him. She was betraying me and had been conflicted for months. I truly want to trust her. I don't know after everything that's happened. I was already apprehensive and jittery. But getting that email made everything odd. I miss her and David, but I've learned the hard way that I can't trust anyone, even my closest ones, so I need to learn to survive on my own. I think I'll keep the no contact rule. Update 4. Several months have passed since my last update. Within weeks, the divorce will be formalized, allowing you to go on. Negotiations were easy. Seeing him in meetings was hard. When I saw him, I felt wrath, hurt, and immense sadness. I survived and I'm done. I found and moved into a new apartment. Living alone for 2 weeks has been lovely. I believe it's great that my friends and relatives check on me every other day. I don't feel lonely because I have company most of the time, but I know these visits won't be as regular later, and I'm still trying to accept that I'm a single woman. After starting treatment, I know I'll be able to accept and absorb everything, but it will take time. David and I haven't spoken since mediation. Though difficult, it's been different. In my last update, I mentioned her email explaining how she had been deceived. Everything was so new that I couldn't trust her. I responded to that email last week. She kept sending me emails after that. She kept me informed about her life without mentioning the college fund. She'd keep attempting to talk to me, but I'd ignore her. Every time she sent me an email, my heart broke, and I kept crying after reading because I missed the kid, even though nothing was wrong. I contacted her and told her I only missed her. She replied to that email that she didn't mind, but I still think she wasn't getting college. She didn't deserve it, and she decided to go to a local institution instead of her dream college to avoid bothering her father with student loans. Even if she had asked him to apply and co-sign, he would have declined. He's been clear that they'll have to make do with what they have, and he'll help her as much as he can. Like most of us, she must contribute and work her way through college. She claims she's cool with that. However, we have been emailing and I told her that I would love to reconnect with her, but I need my time since I can't handle anything after everything that occurred. She realizes that. She told me I may take my time because she abused my confidence and knows it. I don't know what's next, but I'm praying for the best.